All right, so autocross is this weekend and there's some stuff I've been putting off doing to the Spider that needs to be done. So I've gone down to everybody's favorite crappy tool store, Harbor Freight, and I've picked up a low profile jack because our existing jack doesn't handle a lot of weight and it's not in great shape. It makes lots of creaking noises and all kinds of things, which is why you never support a car on a jack. You lift the car and put it on stands, ramps, a bunch of other stuff. So I got a spare set of jack stands. I have one tall pair, I needed one short pair. I got this multi-use transfer pump. I'm gonna see if I can bleed the brakes with it. If I can't, it was only $6. I can definitely get some power steering fluid out with that, which I need to do. A set of funnels, which haven't been coated with oil, and then another oil catch pan that hasn't been coated with oil so I can put other fluids in it. All right, first things first, I need to take this thing for a short drive, get the oil hot, not super hot, but just need to get it all circulating and get it warmed up so that I'm draining everything out in the right way and for something I gotta do, which I'll show you guys in just a second. Okay, the reason that I needed to get the engine hot a little bit before I changed the oil is this is my first oil change since I did the engine swap. And I don't actually know a ton about the engine that went into this car. It came out of a 06 or 07 Toyota Matrix, about 80,000 miles, but I don't really know anything else about the health of it. So what I'm gonna do is take a sample of the oil in the middle of me draining the oil. So not right when I start draining, not at the very end, but something right in the middle. And I want it hot or warm so everything's kind of stirred up, any metal, particulate, anything like that. And I'm gonna collect a sample, send it off to Blackstone Laboratories, and they analyze the metals and other things that can be found in your oil, and they can tell you stuff about the relative health of your engine. What parts might be wearing too fast, what parts seem like they're in good shape, stuff on the inside of the engine that you can't really see unless you open it up. So I'm gonna do it this time, and then I'll probably wait an oil change or two. I'll send it again, we'll see any differences, and they can help me, they'll make some recommendations and stuff for any ways I can improve on taking care of the car. All right, so this car is a pain in the butt to get jacked up, but it's up now. It's on 4 jack stands. The ones in the back are 6-ton stands. That means between the 2 stands, they can support 6 tons of weight if you're using both at the same time. And the front ones are 3-ton stands. So I've got, 4 points of failure, but they are kind of all backups for each other. And I'm also gonna put the jack underneath the car and tighten it up just so I've got a little bit extra. Now, you never wanna work on a car that's just supported by the jack because jacks can fail. If they can go up, they can go down, and they can go down when you're not expecting them. So anything can fail, but I would never trust a jack, no matter how good it is, as the only thing to support a car while I'm working on it. Now, some people will also put like spare wheels and stuff underneath the car to brace it up, which I don't think is necessarily a bad idea. And normally I would use ramps, which kind of solves a lot of those problems because the ramps can support like 6 tons as well. But I need the wheels to be free spinning today because I need to check for possibly a bad bearing or a bad CV axle in the back. All right, some good news. The oil looks pretty clean coming out, and that is a magnetic drain plug for the oil pan. And there are no metal particles on it at all, which means that there doesn't appear to be a lot of metal shavings floating around there in the oil pan, which is a good first sign. It doesn't tell me a ton about the health of the engine, but it's a pretty good sign that it can't be but so bad, or at least there isn't like a ticking time bomb waiting to go off. So I've been having a clunking noise in the back end. I think it's probably this CV, because when I shake it, probably can't hear it, but there's a very slight clicking noise. And when I do it the other side, there isn't one. So that's my guess, but I'm gonna run the engine in a little bit with the car up on stands and see if I can tell a little bit better where the noise is coming from. But while I was under here, I found this, which is one of the sway bar end links. Camera's having a hard time staying focused on it, but who knows how long that's been missing its bolt. It's been at least since I did the engine swap, because I definitely put a bolt back on there. So it's been 2,000 miles or less, but it's kind of dirty. And I have been getting a weird clunk in the back end when I start rolling forward. So I wonder if that could also be part of the case. I don't think that's the noise I've been hearing though, because that was happening before I even swapped the engine, but definitely gonna look through my pile of spare bolts and see if I can find the one that fits. So that is definitely not the bolt that came off of it, but being a Toyota, a lot of my other spare bolts are compatible. This one's a little bit deeper, or the nut is, sorry. The nut's a little bit deeper. So I put a bunch of Loctite on it. I cleaned the old threads best as I could, and I put that on, and the threads did seem like they were a little bit worn down. So I'm gonna have to check on this on a regular basis, and of course try to line up a replacement in case something happens to it. But I don't think that made much of a difference for the axle because I can still click it back and forth. But that is something you definitely don't want just hanging around out there. So I'm curious if I'll notice any difference when I drive the car. right, give it a little gas. Just a little, just a little. All right, stop. So I have no idea what that noise is, but I'm going to keep tracking it down as I continue to work on the car, and I think I'm going to have to address it sometime this fall because it sounds like it's most likely a bearing in the transmission. I don't think it's one of the CVs because it makes the noise when either of them is blocked up or when they're both spinning. So probably not an output shaft bearing unless they're both bad. Probably not a CV. It's probably, unfortunately, something in the transmission, which I wish I would have known when I had the transmission sitting out on my garage floor last November. But I ended up not filming any more of the maintenance because it was so hot when I was done. I came inside and had to take a nap. Like, I crashed hard. I don't know if it was heat stroke or something, but I was able to bleed the power steering fluid, bleed the brakes, get the oil changed, get all that stuff done. So other than that transmission issue, whatever that might be, the Spider is in the best shape it's been in a while, and it is ready to drive. So this run you're about to see is not my fastest run of the day. This is my third fastest. The reason I'm going to show it to you is coming up here. So this day was stinking hot. It was so hot that I was actually worried I was going to drop out and not race because I'd already watched the first heat run and then I was driving in the second, so it'd already been a couple hours outside in the 100-degree heat in the middle of this old tarmac with pretty much no shade. Those clouds were there for a while, but for a lot of the day there were no clouds in the sky either. So it was just miserably hot and ended up having to sit in the car with the top up and run the air conditioning for a few minutes before my runs just to try to calm down a little bit, and I drank as much water as I could. I can't drive with the top up because my helmet won't fit. But here we go, coming up here. Yep, that's the first time that I've ever slid the Spider, so it was kind of surprising. It slowed me down a little bit because I wasn't expecting it. And then up here, there's a little opposite lock for you. I've never reached the point where the car will just slide. I've never pushed it that hard before, so it was a little bit of a surprise. It slowed me down when it happened, but I'm glad it did because now I know a little bit more about the car's driving dynamics. Alright, so this is going to be my last run of the day, and this was my fastest. So I ended up placing 5th out of 17 in the novice category, although I'm not sure if I really trust that because I think the timing software was recording both days. It was a 2-day event. I only went to the second day, and I think it may have been lumping all the novice times in together because I didn't see 17 other novices, or at least I didn't see 17 other people with novice marked on their cars. So maybe I actually got 5th out of 17, maybe it was a little bit lower than that, but at any rate, I feel like I did better than I did the last time. Alright, here is my fastest run. Because of the heat, I didn't push the car quite as hard as I wanted to. I was feeling pretty miserable at this point. The car seemed to be doing okay, to its credit, but I was pretty worn out, so I played it a little safer than I wanted to in retrospect, but that's okay. I still had a really, really awesome time, and I know what I want to work on in the fall for the fall events, because it should be quite a bit cooler, provided I can get the transmission issue sorted out by then. So I apologize that the footage is still a little bit shaky. I tried a different mount this time in a different location, but it still moves around more than I want it to, so I'll keep working on it. I know this is a solvable problem, but I don't want to spend like $50 on a really high-end GoPro mount, especially because I'm just borrowing the GoPro from Evil Viking 13. But thank you guys for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed it a little bit, and hopefully I'll be a better driver on the next one.